Welcome back everyone to my channel, John De Silva Photography. I am John De Silva and this channel is all about photography and making better photographs, and I hope to pass along some tips, tricks, and shortcuts that'll improve your photography. The subject of this video is the North Island of New Zealand. Now I've released a South Island of New Zealand video. Hopefully you've viewed it already. If not, I'll put a link up for you to click on and go see it. I won't cover a lot of the material that I covered in there because, well, that would be a waste of time. I invite you to go watch it. It's all about how I got around, where I stayed, and all the things that go into actually visiting New Zealand before you even make a photograph, all the things you have to consider. So make sure you watch that. It'll help you immensely if you're planning a trip or do plan a trip to New Zealand, either island. All the pictures that you'll be seeing in the video are available, as well as my photography services. So remember that and feel free to contact me. And before you go any further, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Okay, so the first picture I want to talk about is an image that I called Mud Pool Explosion. This, of course, is from the North Island in a very volcanic thermal activity area. A lot of pools to soak in and things like that. This is not one of them. This is all mud and gas. And the gas, of course, escapes through the ground and comes out through these mud pools. I think sometimes they call them pots. But anyway, what I found intriguing was, of course, it's mostly monocolor. It's all a middle tan, brown color, not a lot of variation. But what just pulled me in were these random little explosions of the gases escaping through the water and mud and throwing up bits of the mud, and mostly the mud. The water, not so much. It would make little ripples in the water. But the tricky part to this is locking down where the gas is escaping from, because it's always from the same area, and then finding one that is doing something that is enough of an activity to be worthwhile of photography. So, and you have to set up your composition. This is all handheld, so it's not on a tripod. My settings for this particular photograph were the shutter was at 1/160th of a second, ISO 100. As I said, it's handheld, and the f-stop is at 5.6. I was using a 70 to 200 millimeter lens. I tried 200 at first, but it's just too tight of a shot, and there was some variables to where the explosions were occurring. They would mostly pop up in the same place. There'd be a little bit of movement, not the exact same place all the time. So this one is a great representation of what I was trying to get. Came out pretty well. You can see all the little mud pieces from big ones to tiny ones there, and then the water, the effect of the explosion happening on the water. You can see the steam. It's conveying heat or mystery, or all kinds of, maybe a prehistoric, gives you an idea of a prehistoric tar pit. So anyway, this is a photo that I really like, and thought I should share it with you, and how to photograph it. I'd say the biggest part of this photograph to be successful is surveying the area and finding an explosion, because there were really tiny ones and ones that you really couldn't time. You'd like to know when to be prepared to fire the shutter and not stand there all day waiting. So that is the big key to this photograph being successful, is finding the right one, setting up your composition. Do you want it in the middle or off to the side like I wanted mine? I wanted to show a little bit of calm water along with the disturbed water, and then the explosion happening. So this came out pretty much exactly the way I saw it in my mind before I took the photo. So I took a series, not all in the same place. So this is actually a series of waterfalls that I made images of in numerous places, days apart. but the process is pretty much the same for shooting photographs of waterfalls or moving water if you want to get that smooth look to the water. I've been asked numerous times by people who are not that familiar with photography and ask me, how do I get that effect? Because they're used to seeing, the fast shutter, frozen water images. And so I will say that with these pictures that I'm going to cycle through here, most of them were shot with a tripod. There was one or two that were probably shot with using my backpack as the stabilizing platform, because the camera has to stay real small. The waterfall picture, several of them have very long exposures, 25 seconds. I'm seeing 30 seconds, and then some of them are short, like the one. There's one of rapids in this collection that was only a half a second. It all depends on how you want the water to look and the scene around the water. One image of a very small waterfall here. It was bright light. It was a sunny day, but luckily it was in shade because there were a lot of trees around it. So I really wanted the environment around this waterfall to be almost pitch black, even though it wasn't. It was very bright. You could see the detail in the leaves and the limbs and the ground and everything, the rocks. But I wanted it to be really almost everything faded to black, because to me, when I did my testing with different shutter speeds, it gave like a fairy tale, ethereal kind of look to it, and that was the pleasing look that I was going for in this particular instance. But the other ones that you are viewing, you can see that there's still detail, from a little bit of detail where you can see the surroundings, the environment, to a full detail, like it's a bright sunny day, and still getting that look of smoothness to the water in the waterfall or in the rapids along the river. Let me talk about these pictures, a couple of series, two of them, of a sunrise. We're on the beach in the North Island, just camping out right next to the beach, and the sunrise was coming up, and the colors just spilled into our vehicle, and it was gorgeous. So I took my gear and my tripod out, because I know you need to do a tripod here, because you want to grab those colors, and you don't want anything blurry, and don't want to jack up your ISO so high that it might fall apart, even though today's digital cameras, the higher end cameras, stay together pretty well. So I wanted to get the orange bouncing off those rocks in the foreground, and you can see that they're in the foreground to middle ground. The deepest part of the foreground is mostly black, but you do see some color bouncing off of the water in the sand, getting close to where the waves are coming in the foam. And then you've got that thin, strong line of bright orange, purple in the sky, purple bouncing off the water. Came out really exactly the way I wanted it. Now, I let some time march forward, let the sky change, let the sunrise do its thing. Sun started coming up, the purple started to fade, the sky went to some blue there at the very top, but the orange really grew, yellow, orange, some reds, and I was on the tripod, but my shutter, I sped it up just a little bit, so I could freeze the crashing against that rock. So you lost the color on the rock, but you gained the color in the waves crashing over the rock. And that one jet that's just high and barely piercing the horizon is what I was going for. And that took a lot of patience, a lot of waiting until I have a series of photographs. And I picked what I considered the best one, but I have a bunch of spray coming over those rocks, and I wanted that spray lit up by the colors. Another one was at a different location. It was actually over a lake with the sun coming up in the morning and some star action, still some star action in the sky with a deep blue into black, a gradual transition from the orange at the land, and then going up into the sky where it goes to black. Um, that was also on a tripod, just to make sure everything was steady and tight and in focus. I didn't want any blur. Um, redwoods. Redwoods are in New Zealand on the North Island, and they're massive. If you've been to California, anywhere on the West Coast where there's redwoods, they are impressive. And of course, what I chose to do here was just lay my camera um, on the side of the tree, get low, right up, and shoot straight to the top, and had a very shallow depth of field. So closer to the camera, it was very, very focused, and then fell out of focus the farther it went up. That's exactly what I wanted to get, and I'm very pleased with that result. The other one is a handheld lake. Just the reflections in it were very nice. A small little community of homes there and some trees, and then the hill behind it. It was just very pleasing. Was a place that I chose to camp at. So the vehicle was right there on this body of water, and in the morning, wake up. And this is not first thing in the morning, but this is probably around 9 or so. So the sun had been up, but it lit it really well. There was still some warmth in the light, and I really loved it. It turned out beautiful. Now, this picture that you're looking at now, for those of you who love Lord of the Rings, does it look familiar? This is at Hobbiton on the North Island. They have that's the name of it. It is the set where Peter Jackson filmed the Lord of the Rings trilogies. I think both sets. I think all the filming for any of those movies was done here, and it is a really fascinating place to see. It is expensive, so keep that in mind if you're a Lord of the Rings fan or The Hobbit. It's expensive, but it was once in a lifetime thing there. Probably, well, who knows? Might be end up back in New Zealand, but we figured we'd spring for it, and it was fun. It was fun. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, I would suggest you do this. It's very cool. You go to, I think it's called the Green Dragon. At the end of the tour, you have some drinks. You get one on the house, and you get to keep the mug. At least at the time we were there, that was cool. But this scene is very idyllic, and it just struck me. I'm like, how peaceful is that? So I made the photograph. And then this seascape. On a hike, the light is low, as you can see. There's a warm quality to it. Sky is blue, clouds are white. The water color was turquoise-ish, close to shore, and then going to a deep blue out there. But the greens of the hills, the vegetation, it was just beautiful. It's just, the light was perfect. Nothing really special here. No tripod, no tricks, no. Just I'm sure I was at ISO maybe somewhere between 1 and 400. Fast enough shutter above 125, maybe 200 of a second, f5.6 to f8, and let it go. Maybe a polarizer I used. It's not looking necessarily like you know what? It could be yes or no. We'll just take yes or no. The sky's not super blue, but depending on the angle of the sun, it all depends. But it's just a very rich photograph, and I loved it when I saw it with the naked eye and with the camera as well. So those are how some of the pictures that I made, how they were made. Hope if you weren't aware of certain processes or ways to get your image look a certain way, I hoped talking about it was helpful to you. And those are the pictures from the North Island. Well, that was my video on the North Island of New Zealand. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helps you in your planning or photographing New Zealand or anywhere. make sure you come back for my next video, which will be on Bogota street photography.